So you decided to pick up the violin. Amazing! I can't wait for you to get started. But all of a sudden, you're really busy and you don't know how to make time for you to practice your violin. Let's talk about that. Hi, my name is Eric and I am your guide to becoming a better violinist. We're going to talk about how to fit your new hobby, violin playing, into your very, very busy schedule. If you are an adult learner, this is the perfect video for you. I'm going to break down what I've done with my adult students on how you can break down practice and how you can achieve your violin goals. The first thing I want to talk about is to manage expectations. You know, you are here to play the violin, to do something that you may enjoy, to create music. Maybe you might want to play with a family member who also plays an instrument, or you might want to surprise someone for the holiday season to play a melody. Well, I'm going to tell you that you want to make sure that you organize your time in an efficient way. You want to manage expectations. You have a goal in mind. You want to achieve that goal. We're going to talk about some other techniques on how to manage those goals. Because let's face it, you are an adult who has a job, who needs to go to work, maybe a 9 to 5, and you have such limited time in the day or in the week with learning how to play an instrument, let alone invest money into learning how to play an instrument. Hopefully this guide will kind of give you an idea of what you can expect out of learning how to play the violin and getting into a really good practice routine. So once we've managed those expectations, you want to set a time in the day or in the week for you to be consistent with your practice. This has to be a non-negotiable thing. If you want to be serious about playing the violin, if you want to make it a habit, if you wanted to make it a good habit, you have to actually schedule that time in. For you to say, oh, I'll practice later this week, it turns out to be 2 or 3 weeks later. It just doesn't work. I've had many adult students who were so ambitious to learn something and they just can't find the time. But believe it or not, we have more time than we realize. And time is such a finite thing, especially in adults. Sometimes our children, our grandchildren are pulling us from one direction to the next, and you're just trying to find a sliver of hope. I'm like, okay, well, I just bought an instrument and a bow and a case with some music, and I invested in violin lessons. What do? You want to make sure you control the controllables when you are practicing. If you are dedicated to 20 minutes a week, that's fine. You have to commit to those 20 minutes a week. If you feel like 20 minutes a week is not enough, then try to up the ante. Try to go for maybe 40 minutes a week, 2 20-minute practice sessions. And that is going to help you, set real goals for you down the line. Number 3 is a big one, but if you haven't done so already, I really appreciate if you subscribe to the channel so that way you get more violin content straight into your YouTube feed. It really helps me out to create more violin videos for you. Number 3 is a big one, patience. I find that adult beginners actually lack patience more than young beginners do. Why do I say that? It's because if you are in your 40s, 50s, or 60s and you're picking up an instrument for the first time, you've already lived a life. You already know how your brain works. You know how your body works. You go into this endeavor being like, I know how I study. I know how I learn. I know how my body is going to react to this. Let's get started right away. But I think we oftentimes jump into the deep end and we don't know how to swim when we're overwhelmed all of a sudden. And that's how adult beginners quit quite easily. So slow and steady wins the race when learning how to play the violin, because not only is playing music so good for your brain, but it brings so much joy to your life because you're accomplishing something that is difficult. And I still play this wooden box to this day, and I learn from my students a lot, and I perform and I teach all sorts of different ways. So I can say that with a little bit of perseverance and some patience, you will achieve your goals and you will be able to have so much fun in the process. Now we have those 3 steps. How do we get into this routine? Now getting into some kind of routine is our biggest challenge. We have to make sure we fit our violin practice into our routine. It takes around 2 to 3 weeks on average to develop a healthy, good habit. So that's what it's going to take. It takes a little bit of time, but as I said before, if you dedicate a specific time of day whether it's after dinner, whether it's before work, whatever the case may be, has to work with your schedule. You have to be committed to it for at least 2.5 to 3 weeks, because it's so easy to be discouraged when you just don't have the time to practice. I have adult learners who are lawyers. I have adult learners who are in the finance business. I even have an 80-year-old studying viola with me. I mean, I am so inspired by her that she is so dedicated. And that leads me to one of my biggest points here is you have to have a why. Why are you playing the violin? Why are you doing this? What made you get the violin out of the case in the first place? I think having a why is a big driver for you to learn more. Like for that 80-year-old student that I have, her why is so that way she can show her grandchildren that she can play an instrument too. And she hasn't touched a viola in 50 years, but she decided to gift herself on her birthday with some viola lessons, and I'm so blessed to have her in my violin studio and viola studio. But that is her why. Another student of mine, her why is to just de-stress from work. That's a really good why, and having the violin playing as a soothing factor for your everyday stressful routine, having music in your life to just be like, oh, I can just make some pretty sounds. That's okay too, and really no judgment. Like it's if you want to just play open strings just to get the sound of the violin vibrating, there are some studies out there that the vibrations of a violin can actually help heal us a little bit, and I think that goes towards our emotional, spiritual well-being. Where if we're playing these sounds, if we're playing something that we enjoy doing, like a favorite song, a hymn from church, or a melody from your favorite song, it can actually help improve your mood. It could help improve your memory. It could create lasting memories with your loved ones. You have to have that why, because having that why is going to boost your motivation to get into a practice routine. Also acknowledging the fact that this is important to you, you really want to commit to this. You want to make sure that you are really committed, because violin is not an easy instrument. You have all sorts of different violin techniques. I've made over 400 videos as of this recording on learning how to play the violin. And I encourage you to check out those videos if you're not ready to invest in a violin teacher yet. But you can use me as your guide, as a reference for basic violin principles, so that way you know what you're doing when you decide to invest in violin lessons. So again, my name is Eric. I'm your guide to becoming a better violinist, and I hope that this video helped. Leave a comment down below. What are some of your struggles into getting into a practice regimen, a practice routine? I'm always trying to have a conversation with my audience. I would love to have a conversation with you. And if you want more violin videos, make sure you check out some videos that I have right over here to take a look at.